Well, guys, it's time for the Steam Spring Sale. Here are my first recommendations. These 10 are not RPGs, but I'll get to some RPGs later. Let's go down this first list. Starting with the cheapest game that I recommend on sale, Karteka, for 96 cents. Basically, this game is based off the 1984 Apple II game Karteka, but there's a few changes. First off, you're going to be one of 3 warriors trying to rescue Princess Mandoriko. The combat's more of a rhythm game meets Punch-Out. Basically, the music will have these tones you'll have to listen to, and then you'll have to press the buttons kind of in the order of the tones in order to defend the attacks, and then you will be able to counterattack just by mashing buttons. It's super simple to pick up. It is a casual game, but I found it fun for 96 cents. It's also harder than you might think it is. I've been able to beat this game with the brute no problem. However, trying to beat it with the first 2 characters, that gets hard. I can get pretty far in the game, but I always manage to lose at least one of them. But if you want to try the old school Apple II Karteka, you can. On sale this week, it's The Making of Karteka for $14.99. Basically, this collection contains the Apple II original, the Commodore, and the Atari version. Plus, you get a whole bunch of how these games were created. You get interviews, you get people from Borderbound, you get the original creator all talking. And on top of those ports, you also get a remake of the Karteka, plus some other games Jordan was working on during his creation of Karteka. It's a really fascinating package, and I do recommend it. Gal Guardians is on sale for $16.26. I covered this game a few weeks ago in a review, but it's basically what would happen if Gal Gun did a Castlevania spin-off parody. Actually, a pretty decent game that misses the mark on being as great as the games they're parodying by just this much. Basically, Corona turns the school into a demon castle, and it's up to Shinobu and Maya to go through it and rescue the other girls. And of course, because it's Gal Gun, there's going to be some kinky stuff that's going to happen along the way. The game itself is fun, and it's a good linear 2D action game. The problem is this is parodying Igarashi's DS games, and rather than setting itself up as Metroidvania, it's more Super Castlevania with a ghouls and ghosts hook of sending you back to the beginning once you complete all the stages in order to pick up some items. Not exactly the greatest idea. If they had just gone a few steps further, this would be a great game, but I still had fun and say it's worth checking out for $16.26. But if you want to try the original perverted on-rail shooter, then Gal Gun Double Peace is available only for $7.45. What makes this fun is this would be a good game even if you took the girls out of it and put in something like Aliens or something, but there's a bit of humor turning into what is a male fantasy into a bit of a nightmare scenario. You're an average at best high school guy who Cupid shoots too much with love arrows. Now you have to find your true love with one of the sisters that live next door. Problem is, they're demon hunters and are immune to the spell. There are both some really good fun shooter sections as well as good dating segments and some perverted humor. Try to manage your stats and watch what you say so you can get one of the girls before the end of the day, and there are multiple paths and endings, making this game really fun if you like on-rail shooters. Definitely worth around $8 in my personal opinion. I had a lot of fun with this one. Since we've been talking about developer Inti Creates, let's try another one of their gems, Blaster Master Zero for $4.99. It's a wonderful remake and reimagining of the original Blaster Master, combining the story of both the Japanese and American versions into this fun story about a boy trying to find his frog in an underground labyrinth while fending off aliens. The action is Metroid in the tank, but when you get out of it, it kind of turns more into a Legend of Zelda dungeon with top-down perspective. It's a fun game, and it's definitely worthy of trying. Inti Creates did a great job recreating an NES classic. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge is $16.74. Now, this game pays homage to the classic Konami arcade games and the cartoon series that spawned it, plus does some great job of doing some improvements to the combat. It's a fun game. It's well worth $17 if you love the Turtles classic 80s cartoon or the 90s video games, and you definitely need to check this one out. The Witch's House is $8.99. Basically, the story is you're a young girl who's stuck in the woods and enters the witch's house. Now, both the witch and the house is out to kill you as you try to avoid the traps and escape. The game does a good job despite being 2D of having a great atmosphere of jump scares and thrills. Not quite as good as Resident Evil 2 Remake, but nonetheless it does a really great job. The puzzles are fun, and the game overall is just a delight, especially when you get to the twist ending. And if you are up for a challenge, you can try to clear the game without saving. The game is, once you know all the puzzles, only 20 minutes long, but even that can be kind of difficult. Overall, I do enjoy this game. Definitely worth a pickup for $9. Rozenkruzstillete is $1.99. Now, it's been several years since a proper Mega Man game has been released, and while we wait for Capcom to decide what to do with what was once its flagship series, let me point you to a good Mega Man knockoff, and I do mean a Mega Man knockoff in some scenarios. But don't let the character designs fool you. Yeah, those may be some busty anime babes that look like they belong in a game like Gal Gun, but the game's actually for the most part pretty tame on that. But basically, an order of mages have rebelled against humanity, and one last mage that did not go along is now going through 8 stages to fight their generals and then storm their castle. Hey, wait, that kind of sounds familiar. The only knock I have about this game is it's a bit too challenging, and by that I mean it makes Mega Man and Bass look like it's for 3-year-olds, and that's not always necessarily a good thing. It can get a bit frustrating, but it's well worth $1.99 to hold off that Mega Man itch until Capcom decides to actually do something with the franchise. If you want a good Metroidvania game for cheap, you should try this one. It has some decent combat, a great overworld, and a good story. Basically, the story sets you up that an evil genocidal maniac with some really cute puppy dog eyes is searching for some snake people called Moonbloods, and his top henchman destroys the town on his search. However, said henchman gets killed by a young boy. Some time passes and an amnesiac called Dust awakens to find himself next to a wingbat and a talking sword, and he goes out to find out the truth to his past as well as stop the genocide. It's a fun story and the animation is good. This was originally an Xbox Live Arcade release for like $10 over 10 years ago, and yet it still looks really good. Well worth picking up. Contra Operation Galuga for $35.99. The new Contra game is out for a 10% off discount. I will admit, WayForward did a good job recreating the original Contra. The action is smooth, and the gameplay and the stage design is fun. Plus, you get a lot of Easter eggs and options to play the game, like, for example, you can bring the Castlevania soundtrack in, for example, and a story mode that tries to reboot the Contra series and have it make sense. Even if it does have some moments coming out downright stupid. For example, the Contra gene. Okay. Still, I would be lying if I didn't say I had fun with this. And although it's short, so are all great Contra games of the past, by the way. They do have replayability with multiple character stages and unlocks. Worth checking out in my opinion. I hope to do a full review soon. Anyways, this is Tommy the Game Master thanking you for watching this. Please leave a like and subscribe, and if you have any game recommendation, please leave them in the comment down below. I hope to do another video or two with this sale. Hope to see you guys soon. Bye.